This is Lasting Conversations, and I'm Heather Lockett. We are having a party today. Yes, 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 yes. I am turning 30. Well, rather, the show is turning 30, as in this is the 30th episode drop. And what's so exciting for me is that I had no idea I was about to launch a podcast back last fall. And as the universe would have it, I had just been having one of the proverbial come to Jesus moments between myself and myself of what is it that I really like to do? What is my calling? What's happening in my life? And I was realizing that besides being a mom, because that has officially been the best job of my entire life and being in hospitality, but what I'm really good at and what I really enjoy are people and conversations. And people enjoy having conversations with me. We can get into the energy work later, but mostly what the energy is a heart exchange. And that is really what I love. So literally the next day, I was going to have a cup of coffee because a new place opened up. Let me go help support them, get a free cup of coffee. It was free coffee day. And then I took a little walk. And I walked into a studio. And it just, as if an angel on my shoulder, threw me into this studio. And there was the guy there, said, hello, his name is Brian. He's the owner here. My name is Heather. I have Lasting Conversations. That's been my business name for quite a while now, and my meetup group. Well, you already have a title to a show. Yes, I do. And then the rest is history. Because what I realized is that this is the best thing that I do. I have conversations with people, and they are lasting because that gets into the quantum physics of things. Because when you speak, it's out into the ethers. And when you engage with people, that is the best of our humanity. And so on episode 30, I realized I have some shows ready to launch. We're going to launch Nancy's on Thursday. We're going to have a double header this week, which is very, very exciting. I actually hope to expand the show to have more than one episode a week. So we're going to see where all of these conversations are going to go. But my guy Richard over here, who is the studio producer, said, hey, why don't you do a double dip, a double drop? So here we are. So I'm turning 30. I just turned 60 last month, and yet I feel like I'm turning 30 or even 20 because it's not so much the reverse aging, but it's the space of where I am in my life. Everything is launching new, this new voice. My body is changing for the healthier. My mindset is changing for the healthier. Everything about my world is changing. Everything about our world is changing. And what seems like a shit show, and believe me, I have plenty that shit on my own platter, ultimately, we're okay. And ultimately, the goal of this show and the goal for me moving forward is I'm Team Human, and I'm on your side, and I'm always going to be on your side. I'm going to be in the side of Team Human, not so much the robots. Those are different episodes, but I will always have your back. We were always going to speak from places from within us that perhaps we didn't even know we have. So other thing I wanted to do today was not only to honor myself and honor all of you listening and honor my cheerleaders. I have had the best responses from people thus far that, even if maybe 20 people have listened in a week, that's okay. Parentheses, please make it 2,000 or 3,000 because this is really, really fun. But honestly, the response has been beautiful because there's been even one or two people that said, I never considered that. Or I'm so grateful that this story that they were just sharing really landed well for me. And these are the things that really, really excite me. So how I got here, I told you that I had some kismet of walking in the door and as if angels had sent me. And actually, a lot of how the guests come along have been part of that as well. Nothing is scripted. We will just sort of start talking or have a sense of who somebody is there a key message that they want to bring to the table, and then we roll and we really, really get going, and that's always a lot of fun. So where I'm going to start with is honoring my guests. 1 through 29. So number 1 was actually the owner of the studio who helped launch me, Brian. And we talked about the art and soul of conversation. And that was a very good jumping off point for me, as he was actually interviewing me, who was interviewing him. And we had this dialogue on what the art of conversation is and what the actual goal of the show is supposed to be about. So that was really great. That was episode 1. Community tables. My dear friend, Timmy O'Malley, this was now in the fall. We were leading into Thanksgiving. And so I was just giving thanks for her and her delicious book called Consuming Love. And it's about sharing meals around the world and what that actually can mean with community and the taste of food and sharing recipes and being with friends and family and other people around the world. So episode 2, Community Tables, is still just a lovely, lovely show. Margie Kent, Margie Knecht, stepping in, number 3. Margie brought it. She laid herself out there. She told her story. She told her story of coming out to the world. We had brought up our kids together in our grade schools and had our suburban American wife and kids storylines. And then she realized that something was different in her world and found a different love and found herself within her art and has launched completely. She was stepping into a whole new life with a new person, with a woman, and her family rallied behind her. She moved from her beautiful neighborhood and just began what is continuing to be an amazing business, doing sea glass and resin and art and classes, and is always from the depths of her own heart and soul in everything she does, and even has had a pivot herself with stepping into yet another phase of her life, having to do with saying retail really wasn't her bag. She tried it and is now focusing on wholesale and the classes and getting her work out into the world and simplifying. I don't know about you guys, but not only is organic, but simplify has been this mantra all year, is how do we simplify our lives, especially as the world can just shake us about anyway. So how can we find that simplification? So stepping in, that was Margie. Then we had Janine with Passion in the Ring. And Janine that was a stretch for me because her passion, one of her passions has to do with MMA, street fighting. Well, I, to be honest, don't like it when people hurt each other, especially come bloody. But her episode also brought a depth and added perspectives of why people do this and what could be the beauty in it and how these folks create their own families. And so stepping in, the Passion in the Ring, episode 4 is fantastic. We went to Italy. Our friend Nikki DiGirolamo, who lives and has a visionary village in Abruzzo, Italy. We're bringing in the visions of what her vision for community is, and the vision of literally the Mother Mary came as a vision, as a visitor. And her land there is extraordinary, and I have a huge bucket list to go to Italy and specifically to her area, and it's very spiritual. You can just meditate and swim and have extraordinary adventures. And so Nikki's Visions, episode number 5, I honor her, and the kismet of the synchronicity of how that even came about, because here she lives on a different continent, and the timing was bing, bing, bing. We had studio time, let's just get together, and we really, really had so much fun. And then number 6, leaning into listen. That brought us to Paris, France. And Betty Rojas, who is just a sweet, soulful, lovely person, patched in via Zoom, and she ended up singing us the most beautiful song, a beautiful childlike harmonic loveliness. And she is a musician and does drumming and acoustics and works with children there in France. And so if you have a moment to lean in to listen to episode 6, I know Betty and I both would really appreciate it. Number 7, thank you so much for our local doula in our area, Brooke Sternberg. her show is called Birthing Wise. And so she was talking about coming into our bodies and how to support moms and families and dads and the children before, during, and after their birth coming into this world. She had previously been a death doula. So we talked about what that means. We can transition into the world, we transition out of the world. So Birthing Wise, I really enjoyed our time with Brooke. Number 8 was story time with me. I was having a bit of a moment myself. This was in December. I had gotten some news and it was on my heart, and it just felt like there were no guests that week, and I brought in some books and we read some stories, and they were childhood stories. But it's so funny how sometimes our childhood stories really ring true with us right now. And so story time was just a really quick, short, and soulful moment. Start your engines, Joanna Kent. This was fantastic because Joanna, whom I haven't seen in a hot minute, so I hope she's doing okay. I think she's probably on her own adventure right now, but her love and passion is racing cars. So here's a woman in the racing field, and her stories could go on and on. We meant to have 3 or 4 episodes because she left us with Paul Newman. So wait a second, how do we end the show with Paul Newman? We'll have to have you back. So that's Start Your Engines, number 9. Number 10, Spaces for Joy. The Kathy Andio. I will say the Earth Angel, Kathy Andio. This is a show to listen to over and over, and that has become medicine for me. She is just absolutely amazing. Her main work right now is in decluttering. She does fitness. She is taking people on forest baths, nature walks, and it's so interesting how it all ties together. We get into some recovery work and how we are in relation to ourselves and with each other and our stuff, and how to let things go and to make peace with ourselves and our stuff. So Spaces for Joy, number 10. Please listen to that one too. Number 11, in January, we had the new year. And with the new year, we started talking with animals. And one of the shows, Sentient Calling, with Susan. And Susan has a horse farm, and she works locally with people who want to come out and have respite and enjoy some countryside and have equine therapy. And we talked about how horses and animals and trees and everything that is sentient, how they communicate with us, communicate with the world, and what our duties really are and can be moving forward in the world and to be part of nature. And then we come to our favorite owl, January, with episode 12, Wild Wisdom. And the executive director of Bush Wildlife Sanctuary was here with Mo the Owl. And Mo the Owl was really, really cool. And it was a stretch for the studio, and it was so much fun. And Mo just hung out, and her very presence, and Mo the One-Eyed Owl, gave us that very sentient set of messages, aside from what Amy was sharing about being a good steward to animals. And they have an animal hospital, and they rehabilitate their animals there. And so Wild Wisdom is extraordinary. Number 13, January, True Pro. Now, Kenya Brown is an appliantologist. So these are such amazing everyday people from all walks of life can be part of your world, and they bring it forward for us in joy and passion. But most importantly, when you're dealing with customer service and people, whether it's your oven and appliances, you think, well, what kind of episode is that? It's very cool, actually. It's a really cool episode because it gets into why these things are important when what it comes down to still is people and family and who has your back. So listen to the True Pro. Now, Ariante Thalys May. We have 2 episodes with Ariante. Number 1 is Divine Spark. So when you've been broken, black and blue, can you hear from somewhere else within to hang on and keep going? Can your light lead with an unwavering faith? This show, Spark Joy, is a must listen to and share. And then Ariante is now spreading his wings of light in a different location. And he was on another episode, which I'll talk about in just for a second. So that led into episode 15, Unlimited. The great Sandra Raffaele of Azul Fashion Art and Design is a beautiful, beautiful soul. Her her passion is fashion, but she works with a usually marginalized segment of our society, which has to do with neurologically different adults. And what she does is work with them to draw out their creativity. And what can be part of is inside them that might look different to the rest of us, but doesn't matter your spectrum. You can share your spectrums of color, of music, of art, and she helps them create their own businesses. So there is a beautiful structure and a model to what it is that she's doing with these amazing, amazing folks. So because we are all unlimited. Bonnie Roseman, number 16, Joie de Vivre. So we had kind of a bank of fashion and art and passion and how that all ties together as we were going into the new year. But this is any time. Bonnie Roseman, who has her walkabouts around town, and she has an eagle eye for what can work with people, how to zhuzh them up. She is a woman of a certain age. She's had this amazing career for 40 years, and she loves what she does. She loves making sure that women feel good as they look good and can draw out the best of themselves. So listen to Joie de Vivre and get bonafide. She loves getting people bonafide. Number 17 was over Valentine's and its love messages. I was reading again some poems and some song lyrics all about love, all about the things that come through our hearts and sending love and joy out into the world. Next was Badass Butterfly, number 18. Pamela Gardner is working with women in the STEM sciences and as professional women who sometimes can be marginalized themselves, how to become their own badass butterfly and fly and flourish and get their sciences and their amazing brains out and be worth and understood that there is a place and a time for women in these at the top of the echelon of our businesses. Heartful Harmonies. Oh, buddy, Will Hale. Will Hale, who does the Tadpole Parade. He does children's concerts. He's about to have a concert literally every day this summer with children and families. He's out in Minnesota. So the families of Minnesota are about to have the most amazing summer. And so Heartful Harmonies with Will talked about music and children and how we have the fun with engaging with families. And that is a really fun. Oh, and he serenaded me. There is a beautiful song, and there might have been some tears. So thank you so much, Will. Number 21 is 101. One of one. We're back with Ariante and how we are all a one of one. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like me. There's nobody else like you. You are one on this planet. We are part of a collective, and how we can fly together as our individual selves together. The One of One, episode 21, is so much fun. Please have a listen to that one. Tongues a Wagon, number 22. We have Donna Carbone, who in her way was also sharing about how as individuals, we all have a story to share. This is the whole nature of Lasting Conversations, is every one of us has a story to share, and we have a voice, and we get to voice this. And so Donna, with her theater in North Palm Beach, Lake Park, is there to help shepherd people through finding their voice through being on a stage. And if a stage is like a poetry reading, and to share their stories. And she has a really good group. One of them literally called Tongues a Wagon. And so this episode is very, very cool. If you feel like you have something to say, but just haven't quite gotten it out of your system, please listen to this and reach out to Donna. broad perspective. Now my dude Sebas, Sebastian, we have so much fun. I got to be a guest on his show. I think it's number 14 on his show, the Sebas Perspective. And we just hit it off immediately because we can fly and we riff off each other and we get very broad and we get very worldly. And his perspective is very broad. He's traveling somewhere around the world right now and having very deep dialogues with people. And as someone who can speak multiple languages, he really loves getting to their hearts and sharing humanity, because when you can actually be where other people are and even speak their language, that really hits at the heart of everything too. Perfectly Paisley. So, Miss Deborah Weed. Deborah has a new book. She has a book called Paisley's Last Quill and The Shiny Penny. And now this book that she has is more than a book. It is literally an upliftment of humanity. And we were talking about if only. So when we've all had our if only moments where we're kind of begging God and the universe, like, well, if only I had this. Well, if only I could do that. Well, if only I could do this. And I'll add the woulda, couldas, or how about this? But then you walk with faith, and faith has your back, and faith can show you why something may have fallen. And within Deborah's own storyline of being bedridden for almost 3 years, and then that happened to be a mistaken medical diagnosis, what came birthing from that time was a lot of self-reflection and health and healing and an entire story. So listen to Perfectly Paisley, reach out to Deborah with her book, If Only 2 Miracles, because we all have miracles in us. They're just in our hand. Number 25 is Kismet. So I kind of say that word often because life is fun when you have somebody drop into your world, when your day goes from here to here to here, that you think you're having a normal day, but synchronicities abound. And so this was Dr. Henry Stark, that I didn't realize my day was going to go one way. And we landed right in the same room and started talking. And Henry is a podiatrist, but really he is also a man of the world in his own way. And we had brought up our families together also. And it's a lovely, lovely conversation about family, about what's next, what can open for each of us, and honoring our families and honoring our paths along the way. And I'm going to say ... because we never know what else the universe has in store for us. Number 26 is positive changes. I had a sit down with Sherry, who is another podcaster here and is a mental health licensed social worker. And we were talking about the aspects of not only when helpers might need help themselves, when therapists need therapy, when parents need parenting, when our kids need to know somebody is in charge. And we just really went there with how we can best honor ourselves and honor our households and then honor our communities. Positive changes. Blossom Stories, Kathy Cray. Kathy Cray with the African Orphanage Educational Foundation. This episode was almost an hour. We really could have gotten going because more than a charity, this is not a charity organization. Is there fundraising? Absolutely. But these are boots on the ground people working with orphaned or otherwise unhomed or unsupported kids and families in Africa, and how their whole community can rally around each student and the sharing of materials and the sharing of a book, and how even if just one of a whole village gets the opportunity to have an education, the whole village is very excited. Please, please listen to Blossom Stories, because this is how not only the families there blossom, but this is about our world and how we each can blossom. Infinitely Rich, my dude Richard, we were sitting in the studio and we were just shooting the breeze and having some giggles about what happens in these podcast chairs. We talked about Mo the Owl, and we really, really had a fantastic, fantastic time. And Rich is just a good guy with an extraordinary radio voice, and he led me out. So don't leave home without listening to number 28 and 29. Believe in yourself. So we're about to have a brand new podcaster in the world with Dr. Jeffrey Stanger. And Dr. Jeff is a 2-time cancer survivor, including having a piece of his tongue removed. And he's had financial difficulties, and he's bounced back and back and back and back. And his entire message is about resilience and belief and believing in yourself and knowing that there's another day and there's another way. And so his new show is going to be called Full Circles. And that is a beautiful way to round out my honoring of each and every guest. And I have some coming down the pike. Nancy is coming up next, speaking about legacy, and Thea with her music. We're going to have new shows with new people. I'm hoping, my intent, and I have a lot of cheerleaders, is to take the show on the road and actually travel. And that will also open up more doors and opportunities to have people have their voice and share, what's happening in a coffee shop today, or what's happening in another piece of the world besides Florida. And I am honoring my guests. I'm honoring my upcoming guests. I'm honoring you, the listener, because without you guys, none of this would be happening anyway. And I would love it if you would join in the conversation. If you have something to say, reach out to me. You can come and be on the show. If you want to have some financial subsidy, some sponsorship, some donation, there are costs involved to putting on a show. And like I said, I would love to bring this ministry, that is one of the words, this calling, out into the world. Because like I said, I'm Team Humanity, and there's a lot of strife happening right now. And one of my goals is to make sure that you all know that we're okay, and we're going to be okay. It's a lot happening right now. There's a lot energetically happening right now. We'll have some guests talking about geomagnetics and quantum physics and some of the other things that are stretching our humanity. But just understand that my role here is to be kind of a nice little lighthouse, a soft and gentle one. I could be a lightning bolt too, so don't get me wrong there. And yet, I'm here to have your back, to know that you can have a pause, you can learn a few things, you can twist your mind a few ways if there's something that triggers you or you hadn't considered. But ultimately, it's here, I'm here to let you know we're good. Humanity wins, and it's a good thing. So, what would you like to talk about? What is on your mind? What conversations are you having? What conversations are you having at your dinner table? Do you have a dinner table? You could be in a car or an Uber. Who are you chatting with at the diner? Are you kind to your wait staff? That's a whole episode. I think I'll be talking with her too. There's a woman locally that has been in the hospitality field, and they're not having it with mean people anymore. So she's starting a thing called Kind Diners. But we can be kind to each other every day. And even if we're having a day that we know that we can't, that's okay too. Go let it out somewhere. Go hit something, not a person, but just go let it out and listen to some music and know that this too shall pass. And you can take that good deep breath. And you can know that there is sun behind a cloud. And you can shift your perspective. Maybe shift your relationship with yourself, with your community. Maybe you have to move your body, move your house, do anything. But know that the constant in all of that is we're okay. You're okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to like, follow, review, and share this podcast. And if you would like to be part of the conversation, send emails to podcasts@lastingconversations.com and find us on Facebook at Lasting Conversations. This is Lasting Conversations. We get to the heart of everything.